Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Zena Suisa, President of Residence Executive and Team Coaching. As you know, in the last couple of months, I have been conducting interviews with many thought leaders. Most of them have been authors. I will continue to do so, and the interviews will be posted on all the social media that has been presently posted on. Today, I'm very excited to have my first episode of Bite-Sized Learning, which I've introduced very recently. Today, we're going to be talking about overcoming adversity, which is a big topic. Adversity, as we know, has an upside, has a downside. It can be very challenging. It could be very difficult. It could be an instant. It could be enduring and long-term. However, the upside is we can dig deep and find how perseverant we are, how determined we are, how courageous we are, how self-reliant we are. So therefore, it is really prolonged, I believe, because we perpetuate these beliefs by the stories we tell ourselves. I'm going to pull up some slides, and with that, you can look back on it. I think it'll help us understand further how to overcome adversity. First of all, I will have a bite-sized learning on the area of resilience. I may even have two because that is a very big topic. Courage in the face of adversity does promote resilience. Two really good examples: Franklin Roosevelt, four-time president of the United States, paralyzed from the waist down, and still president from 1933 to 1945. They had 2-year terms at that point, and that's why the four-time president. But it's amazing how somebody can endure and be president and take care of all the functions that are required and still be in face of adversity. Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. I'm a real proponent of his work. He was imprisoned in concentration camps, wife and family killed, and yet he went on to live because he found meaning in helping other people. Viktor Frankl, by the way, was a psychiatrist. A quote that I remember very well is, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is that place where we find freedom and growth." So therefore, a situation happens, there is a response. And in that space in between, the time between the stimulus and response, we can find a way for change to happen. But again, we cannot have these self-perpetuating beliefs. There are three aspects of a resilient perspective. The first one, creating a commitment to act on and not to give up. I'm a psychologist, executive coach, trainer, professor, and in all arenas, I had people telling me, it's never going to happen. I can't do it. I'm so frustrated. And they easily gave up when they could have dug deep and found ways not to give up. So with encouragement, I saw tremendous success because they themselves realized that they can do it. Secondly, it is a challenge to rise from and not to retreat. A really good example for that one. Last summer, there was a lot of rain. I live in Montreal. There was a lot of rain. In a community nearby, they had difficulty several years prior with flooding. And they decided this year, 2019, this is not going to happen. The army was called in, but people band together, and it's amazing what they did. They had very little flooding. They found a way that they would not retreat from this adversity. The third one, an imperative to take control of those things you can and let go of those you cannot. If somebody has a thought, a way of thinking about you, that is in their head and not in yours. You cannot get into their head and change their thinking, but you can reframe the way you think. Very importantly, self-limiting beliefs. A really good example for that one, and I'm going to try to bring examples each time I have a bite-sized learning. Downsizing or restructuring, and you lose a job. Well, there are questions you ask yourself. For example, what did I do to get here? And the false belief is everything is forever. This job, I could have stayed in for another 10 years, another 15 years. Instead, find a way to get another job, look for another way of being, look for courses that you can take. It is a false belief that everything will stay the way it is forever. I have never seen that. What can I learn from this? And here, what I said before, you learn from adversity, how courageous you are, how self-reliant you are, how perseverant you are. Where do I go from here? People have between 50 and 70,000 thoughts a day. Underneath those thoughts, there are emotions. We can look at it either way, thoughts, emotions, emotions, thoughts. But in those emotions lie fear, anger, sadness. If we source those, if we look at why are we so fearful, we will have an impetus to change. Where do I go from here? How am I going to get there? There's your strategies. Looking for a headhunter, looking for another job, taking some courses, doing some career planning. What is the first action I need to take? Well, the first action is to act, to make a plan. Because, like I said, it's very easy to go down with the situation, but it's not necessary. There are other ways, there are other jobs, there are other careers. How do we overcome adversity? First of all, we have to accept that life has a plan for us. There will be pitfalls, there will be setbacks, and also our attitude. We cannot control what happens in life. We can only control how you think, what you do, and how you feel and how you reframe. One of the famed psychologists is Dr. Albert Ellis, and I used Albert Ellis a lot with students, with clients. He called it the ABC model. It's adversity, beliefs, and consequences. So adversity is the change that happened. I lost my job. Well, the belief is I didn't deserve to have that job. It's not fair. So therefore, that's an irrational belief. The consequence is emotion. A consequence is an emotion. So therefore, I'm so frustrated. It's not fair. I can't continue. Does A, if you were here, I would ask you, does A lead to B or B lead to C? The answer is that your belief, your interpretations, sometimes irrational, will lead to a consequence. It's not losing your job that leads you to feel the way you do. It is your interpretation of the loss. Some tools to overcome adversity, and I've used this. Try it. Write down the problem. That allows you to distance yourself from the issues, and it becomes much more clear of what you're enduring, what you're going through. The challenge what you know. Analyze your work habits. Perhaps that needs changes. Find some alternatives. And then finally, create an environment of optimism. I see too much negativity, too much pessimism. I don't believe in being positive all the time, but it's your choice. It is your choice to be optimistic. With regards to adversity, what you need to develop is a strong willpower, character strengths, grit, growth mindset, etc., etc. And who said it best, I think, is Albert Einstein. Adversity introduces a man to himself. They understand who they are. I hope you've learned from this. Please send me some comments, some feedback, and thank you very much.